Did you know that in the tranquil seaside community of Bay Harbor, there once lived a murderer so merciless that residents continue to speak his name in hushed tones? In the summer of 1983, Bay Harbor's peaceful existence shattered when fishermen began vanishing during their midnight runs. What started as whispered concerns about dangerous tides became a nightmare when the first body surfaced on that fog-shrouded September morning. The victim bore marks that would haunt the community forever, a gaping wound from throat to chest, methodically filled with harbor sand, and fishing line wrapped around the ankle like a grotesque anchor. The Bay Harbor butcher had announced his presence. Each subsequent victim displayed identical mutilation, eyes wide with final terror, that carved smile splitting their face, and the sand-packed wounds that suggested ritualistic precision. The killer wasn't just murdering. He was creating a signature, a calling card left floating in the harbor like some twisted offering to the sea. As autumn deepened, residents began hearing things. The scrape of metal chains against weathered dock planks. Heavy footsteps that seemed to echo from nowhere and everywhere at once. Children reported seeing a tall shadow moving between the pier supports, gliding rather than walking, its movements too fluid for human anatomy. The harbor, once alive with the chatter of returning fishermen and the calls of gulls, fell silent after sunset. Even the bravest souls found excuses to avoid the waterfront when darkness crept across the bay. The butcher had claimed more than lives, he had stolen the community's sense of safety, leaving behind only fear and the growing certainty that something inhuman stalked their shores. Detective Sarah Martinez knew something supernatural plagued Bay Harbor the moment her radio died at exactly 3:13 a.m. during her first harbor patrol. Every night, without fail, the dock lights would flicker and die for precisely 7 minutes, plunging the waterfront into absolute darkness. The timing never varied, as if controlled by some malevolent force that operated on its own twisted schedule. The police department's response was methodical and expensive. High-tech surveillance cameras, motion sensors, underwater sonar equipment, they deployed everything modern law enforcement could offer. Yet the recordings showed only impossibilities, dense mist rolling in against the wind, temperature drops that defied meteorology, and worst of all, the silhouette of something massive moving beneath the pier with purposeful, predatory grace. Martinez documented equipment failures that followed a disturbing pattern. Batteries drained in minutes, compasses spun wildly, and recording devices captured voices calling for help from beneath the water, voices that matched missing persons reports filed weeks earlier. The investigation team began experiencing nightmares featuring the same recurring elements, cold water rising around their ankles and the sensation of being watched by something patient and hungry. Then, in spring 1987, the killings stopped as abruptly as they began. No final victim, no dramatic confrontation, no closure, just silence where terror had reigned. 13 bodies had been recovered, but Martinez suspected more remained hidden in the harbor's murky depths. The official case file closed, but the detective kept her personal notes locked away, too disturbed by what she'd witnessed to ever speak publicly about the investigation's true findings. Today's Bay Harbor markets itself as a quaint coastal destination, but the locals maintain their own unspoken rules. Murphy's Tavern still serves as an unofficial gathering place where old-timers share knowing glances when tourists ask about nighttime harbor walks. The veteran fishermen who survived the 1980s terror understand what the newcomers don't. Some legends carry truth in their depths. Modern couples who brave romantic midnight strolls along the pier return with identical stories, sudden temperature drops that leave them shivering despite the humid coastal air, the overwhelming sensation of being observed from the dark water, and worst of all, the sound. That rhythmic scraping of metal chains against wood that seems to follow them no matter how quickly they retreat to the safety of the town's lit streets. The harbor lights continue their nightly ritual, flickering out at 3:13 a.m. despite 3 complete electrical system overhauls since the killings ended. City engineers attribute the phenomenon to salt corrosion and power grid irregularities, but they can't explain why backup generators fail at precisely the same moment, or why the darkness always lasts exactly 7 minutes. Recent smartphone videos posted by visiting college students show unexplained lights dancing across the water during storm-heavy nights, movements too deliberate for natural phenomena. Local authorities discourage social media posts about these sightings, citing concerns about encouraging dangerous behavior near the water. The Bay Harbor butcher may have vanished from newspaper headlines, but his presence lingers in the collective memory of a community that learned to fear their own harbor. On foggy nights when visibility drops to mere feet, when the moon hides behind thick clouds and the tide runs low, residents claim you can still see him, a tall figure moving with inhuman purpose along the waterfront, forever patient, forever hunting.